Hello, everybody. So this is the video for Tetris Lab 3. So if I were to head over to YouTube, and if I were to look myself up here, let's just see. Um, Stupid Zoom stuff's in the way, sorry. Yeah, so there is a video for Tetris Lab Part 2. So this is Part 3. All right, so in this lab, we have a few things that we need to do here. And let's just try to go through it, hopefully relatively quickly here. Now, what you can do is if we scroll down here to the bottom, there's going to be some starting code. And also when we're doing this, I'll mention some other issues. One of the things that is kind of an issue for people that I did not realize was I didn't really think too hard about the width and the height of the screen. And some people have monitors that are not tall enough for this game. And so I'm going to post a version of this that's smaller. But I'm not going to try to change it in this video. So you'll have to look for the separate thing where it's a smaller version of the game. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we would need to open up Eclipse, of course. I don't know which version I opened. Actually, let's do this. Let's open the correct version. Actually read what we have here. Let's open the 2026 version. Let that open. And when it does open, we are going to close what's there for myself, and we're going to make um, a new Tetris. So I have Tetris test 3 here. Um, we're going to make a new Java project, and I'm going to call that Tetris Part 3 or Tetris Lab 3. It doesn't really matter. I just don't want it to be the same as the ones I already have. So I've got a blank project down here. And in here, I'm going to create our 3 classes. So I'm going to do new class main with a capital M. And then we're going to do new class. And I think we have one called piece. And then new class. And I think we have one called game area, like so. And yeah, so let's head back over here. Let's get these in here. So we'll start with main because that's on top. Scroll. No, we just don't scroll today. Awesome. That's very, very useful. Really appreciate that. So like literally can't scroll. All right. This is not the way you're supposed to have to do this. No, really just really can't scroll. Okay. I don't know why my computer's doing that, but we'll do this in pieces then. I'll make this as small as I can, and I guess we're going from here down to, oh, now it scrolls. Oh man, computer's fun, right? So that was main.java. So I'll head over here, delete the code that's in there, paste the main. Then we have game area. So we'll do the same thing for game area. Delete what's there, paste the new stuff. And then for piece, we will put that in there as well. Um, Piece. All right. So I put those all in there. I also saved the files just with Command S, but of course you can do file save. And let's see where this is. So if I open up this game, I've got just blocks that fall, right? So it doesn't really look much like a game, although, I mean, it looks like kind of like a game, but we need to make this bigger. And so let's go back up to the top and see what we're supposed to do. So it says, first, we're going to give game area 3 new abilities. It will know its position on the screen, track the player's score, and automatically clear full rows of blocks. Now, the purpose of that is If I scroll down here, you'll see that there's like a kind of a Tetris game thing here. Although I might use a different version here. Maybe I have one. Let's see what, spoiler, what does this version of Tetris have? Um, I really hate how Zoom is taking up my area here, and I can't change the size of this. Okay, I was not able to click on the source folder here. So this version of Tetris, no, that's the same one. Okay, this is all fine. This is all fine. I thought I had a better version of the background, but I do have a better version of the background, but it is on the computer at school. All right, back to what we were doing. So if we read what it says here at the top, um, we want the game area to know its position on the screen and track the player's score and automatically clear rows of blocks. So it says at the top of the class, we're talking about, as it says here, game area.java. We want to replace the code that's here with the code that's here. So what this is it says playfield position on the screen. And what that will do for us, actually, yeah, no, that's good. What that will do for us is if we go here, we find this code, rows, columns, block size. And now we have rows, columns, block size, and some new stuff. What this will allow us to do is down here, when we're trying to make our game look more like a game, we don't want the Tetris field drawn in the upper left corner. We want it drawn a little bit over and a little bit down so that it fits in this box, basically. And so that's what we're doing, is we're trying to set up the code for that now. So this will allow us to move the screen around. And that's basically all we added there. Now, we are also going to have to keep track of score and how many lines have been cleared, because like right now, we can clear lines, but we don't have any scores. So let's take these variables, and it says find the private color grid and add these lines below it. So actually, that's right here, right under the code we just added. And these are just all our fields, which is the data that the game area needs. So we're going to keep track of how many lines the player has gotten rid of. We're going to keep track of the player's current score, and we're going to keep track of the player's current level, which we'll be able to change now. So we'll start them out at level 1, and then the score starts out as 0. All right. Do-do-do. All right. Now we need to update the draw method to work properly. So basically, there's a code here that you can replace the current code with. But I believe the only thing that's different in this code is this, where it says field X plus, field Y plus. And those were the variables up here, which is kind of those are pixel offsets from the upper left corner. So this is like the X position is 80 pixels over from the left, and field Y equals 80, it means 80 pixels down. So like from the top left corner, it's 80 over to the left or to the right, and then 80 pixels down. So that's what that is. And we just need to add constants into the drawing function so that it actually, draws it where we want. So previously there was nothing there. So if we go and find the draw function, which by the way, like sometimes when you're doing code like this, you need to just do Control F and to go like draw. Um, or you can just scroll through it. So this is down at around line 70. It's actually at the very bottom. So looking at the draw function, what do we have? So here it is, and it's kind of on 2 lines right now, but it does have fill rect, and then it says column times block size plus 3. And here, oh, I guess that technically column times block size, but basically that would go there. And the field y plus goes in the y coordinate, which is after that comma. And that gets a little complicated, like this is a little bit long. So rather than typing it up the way that it is here, the whole function was just given. So this matches up with this. And so you could do it that way. And so that just makes the individual lines shorter by calculating the position of the x and the position of the y where we want to draw the box. Um, so it splits it up into a couple of lines. But that's our new drawing function. Does this run? It might. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. Um, so that's the wrong version of the game. And I think what has happened is that we've made this not run now. Maybe. I'm a little bit confused about whether or not we're updating the right thing now. So let me just make sure I have the right things open. Okay. Seems fine. Okay. After we have that, we want to um, clear after we make a full line. What does that mean? Well, if we play Tetris right now, hopefully we'll see. Oh, okay. This is good. I'm glad this happened. So, you can see that it looks like the Tetris is going normal, but they're going off the screen. And if you think about that, and they're also being locked in the weird place, like if they jump to the right, that's because we're now drawing stuff moved over to the right, but not everything is being drawn over to the right yet. So we have to fix a little bit of stuff. Um, so I guess one thing we need is we need to find this lock piece to grid. That's when a piece falls, right? When a piece falls, it's a piece, but then when it jumps into position there, it's being locked into the background. And so there's a function called lock piece to grid, which we see right here above the draw function. And all we need to do is add a line that says clear lines. And we want to add that after this for loop. So be careful. Here's where the for loop starts. Here's where the for loop ends, right there. Now, one small problem with this is that I wrote clear lines, but nobody has written the function clear lines yet. So we have to write that, which must be next. So the way that I write these is if we think about it, we can write a function called is line full. I'm going to put these like maybe not in the order, but the heck. Where were we? Way up here. Way up here. Come on. Okay. Um, so where we were was right here. So uh, copy this is line full. I'm doing these not in the order that they're written, so I can explain them. So what we're going to do is this method is going to be passed a row. Like one row is an array. So it's an array from the grid. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop through the entire every column of the row. And if the grid row column is null, that means it's empty, right? So what happens is when we initially run this, we can't because of this clear lines doesn't exist. When we run this, uh, initially the entire row is all blank, right? And so a blank row is all null. Null means there's nothing there. And so if you go through, if we loop through the entire row and every column is null, or sorry, if any of them is null, then it's not full, right? Because what happens is when we lock a piece into the row, so when we lock a piece into a row, or just into position, I should say, not a row, Uh, the grid entries are changed from null to a color because we have our grid is actually an array of colors. So we change the entries from null to color. So if you look through every entry and you find a null, that means it's empty, right? And so if it's empty, that means it's not full. So this method here, which is supposed to check if a line is full, just loops through, and if it sees a null, it returns false because it's not full. And if it gets through this entire for loop without finding an empty space, then it returns true, which indicates that the line is full. So if it's empty, it's not full. If none of them are empty, then it is full. So that's how that works. Then we're going to have this function here called remove line. And what remove line is going to do is it's just going to copy one line over another line. And so it'll be hard to see this. So maybe I'll just copy this in for now. And then once we have it working a little better, we can talk about what we added. So then I'll put this clear lines here. The order doesn't matter, so I'll put that there. And then also I need to uncomment this clear lines. Um, so I'm gonna just kind of, okay, try to get this to work. Never mind, I can't play it like this. It needs to work a little better. All right. All right. Now this was going to be very helpful. We need to update piece.java so it draws itself at the correct offset position on the screen. So that's the problem where when the pieces fall currently, they jump to the right. It's because we're drawing the grid to the right, but the pieces are not being drawn there. So um, what you got to do basically is we need to add these field X and field Y as new parameters. And so the field X and field Y, they just came from here, right? We added these field X and then field Y here. And the piece needs to know about them so that we can draw the right piece. Now, I think there's not, it doesn't actually say how to do this. Um, like it says to do this and to put field X there, but this field X doesn't exist in our function yet. So that's kind of, there's like kind of a missing step here. So in order to do that, we'll kind of have to go up to our piece class and where we've got all these variables here, we might need to do like private, if I can spell private int field, how is it spelled? Field and then uppercase X. And I guess we can just do field uppercase Y like that. And then I guess technically this might not be the best way, but this is the way I'll do it. So what I was looking at down here was that here's a constructor that creates a piece, and here's a constructor that creates a piece, and here's a constructor that creates a piece, and here's a constructor that creates a piece. And I think the only one we actually use is this one, right? I don't think we use any of these others at all, but I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write field x equals, and then I'm going to go game area dot, and it looks like we have field x there. And we'll do the same thing down here, although this needs to be field y. And if this doesn't give us any errors, then we'll do this. And if we have to modify it, we will. But basically, I'm just trying to get this variable into this class. Having said that, now we need a new drawing function, which again, the only real change is that we're changing the start x value here. And so like if we find the draw function here, and it says int start x equals, we just want to add this offset and the same thing for the y. And if we did this right and we run this, now you can see like you can't move it all the way to the left anymore. But what you'll see is that they now are not jumping positions when they try to lock the thing. Now, what is happening is everything's being drawn like 80 pixels to the right and 80 pixels down, which is why stuff can fall off the screen because this window is no longer the right size. Okay, wall clipping. So this is an issue that was in the previous version of the code. So in the previous version of the code, and it might still be true because we haven't fixed it yet, if you got very close to the edge and then you rotated the piece, then it crashed, just like you saw here. Because when it moves off the screen, it tries to access the position from the array, the grid array for the background, and the background grid array, of course, goes from 0 to something. And so if you move off to the left, it tries to access like entry -1, but there is no entry -1. So what I've got is a simple function, and this is in this function here called move in bounds. And this should make perfect sense. So while you're out of bounds to the left, move right. And while you're out of bounds to the right, move left. And this is how I actually write these functions, by the way. Like, I thought, how should this work? And I said, oh, well, it's possible that you move off the screen on accident to the left. And what's the solution if you moved too far to the left is that we'll just move you right. And what happens if you're out of bounds to the right side? Well, we can just move you left. Um, Now the problem with that is, of course, we haven't written move right and move left, but um, actually we have. We do have move left and we do have move right, don't we? Right here. So cool. What we don't have is out of bounds left, out of bounds right. How do we know if we're out of bounds to the left or out of bounds to the right? So those have to be written as well, and that's what are right here. So how do those work? So basically what I do is I get a copy of the piece and then I loop through the piece. So from 0 to 4, 0 to 4, remember the pieces are 4 by 4 arrays. And then what I do is I look and see if the entry is a 1, because remember the way the pieces work is, um, oh, I didn't realize this happened. In order to consolidate the code to fit into one, or to fit into a smaller section, it kind of reordered these arrays. So they don't look like the pieces anymore in this version because like the numbers have been moved around. But basically the ones corresponded to where the piece was, right? And so if there's a 1 there, that means the piece is there. And what we're doing in this out of bounds is if there's a 1 there, which means the piece is there, and that entry is less than 0, then that means you're out of bounds. And you don't want to be out of bounds to the left, but if you're out of bounds to the left, we will move you to the right. And the same thing here. So we're going to be, if the piece is got a 1 in that location, and if this is greater than 10, which because we're 10 columns, then that means you're out of bounds to the right side. And so we just are figuring out whether the piece is too far left or too far right. And just adding these in will make it so that now if I go to the edge here and I rotate, uh, well, it should have, oh, we wrote functions that will keep us from leaving the game area, but we didn't run those functions. So we need to add this move in bounds somewhere. So after we do this, we're going to go to our rotate left and rotate right. And so here they are. And so we're going to try to, change the orientation of the piece. But now we have this new function called move in bounds. And we can just run that every time we rotate the piece. And hopefully now you can't you can't make it crash anymore because every time it tries to move the piece, we just move it back in bounds. Um, all right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is going to be kind of useful, but you won't be able to see why. And that is when we're running the game, we are running, you see one piece here, but this is the current piece, right? The current piece is falling. The next piece is all ready to go because if you look at main, you'll see somewhere that when we start up the game, there's a current piece and a next piece. So there are two pieces. And I noticed that when I looked at Tetris um, screenshots, that most versions of Tetris show you what the next piece is. So um, we would like to see that. So this is a function for that. And this is basically the same exact thing as the drawing function for a piece. So go to piece and like there's a drawing function here somewhere. So this is the same code essentially, um, but this has got like it's a lot more complicated because we're going to try to draw it so that it's centered in a box. But this is still just the drawing code for, if you look at the code down here that actually draws it, that'll be the same as the code here that actually draws it. Different X and Y positions and a bunch of calculations that probably didn't need to be done for exactly where to draw it. Okay, so now we get to this point. So this is this is just a kind of a blank background here. So I'm going to save this. So I'm going to do save image to downloads. Um, and it'll go to downloads somewhere. And I've got more than one. So I've got backdrop, and there's probably another one somewhere. But probably I can't change this, right? Oh, I can. Um, so make sure it's named backdrop, and we want to get this into our project. So download this, make sure it has the right file name, and then the easiest way to get this into the game is you can drag it from the folder to your project. And don't drag it to down here, drag it to like the top of the project pretty much where it says like mine's Tetris Lab 3 and let it copy it. And you'll see where that put that. It's hard to see, but it's not in the source folder. Like if I do this, it's alongside the source folder is where that went. Okay, that's everything we needed for the moment. Um, and then it says replace all the imports in, and we're talking about main now. So we go to main. We'll have to kind of, here are the imports. You might have to expand them, and we're adding a few more things. So these are related to loading images. And so here's what we're doing. It says, find and replace these two lines near the top of the class with this. This is a little bit annoying, by the way. There's like not a mistake, but something you have to be careful of. Originally, we had width and height. Now we're going to have window width and window height. And so we might have to make some additional changes there. So here's the width and height. I just replaced it. Um, find this pressed keys. This is So what I did was I wrote some code and then I had AI like explain the changes. And I don't know why I changed this, but this change does not matter. You can do that change, but it doesn't matter. And then now we're gonna get our background in here. So somewhere up here where we have all these variables, we need our image. So it could go anywhere. I could put it right there, for example. Um, Now, this is something that we have to be careful of. Preferred size. So if we scroll down, there's a place where it says in main, set preferred size, and it says width height. We change it to use the new variables. So that's because we changed the names of the variables. And I think this will run. Let's see if it runs now. Yeah. So you see, we've now made the window bigger. That's all we've done. Um, it says part B, add the following before add key listener. So I guess right here. Okay. Um, Now we need to draw the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the paint component, which is where things are drawn. And here it is. And currently it draws the game area and the current piece. Now it draws the backdrop, the game area, and the current piece. But not only does it draw the current piece, but it draws the current piece and these offsets are going to be used to draw the piece in the right location. Um, Now that I look at this, I realize that they're back in the piece when I wrote this, these were completely unnecessary. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Um, because in the draw here, and it uses wait, draw G, game field X, game area field Y. What? Huh, maybe it was. I might be making a mistake here. We'll find out when we get a little more code. Um, all right. And the last thing is we're going to draw this UI. Now, this looks like a huge thing here. And it says to add this after the paint component. So here's the paint component that we just added. And we'll just put this here. And this just adds a bunch of text. So last thing, actually, we're missing some stuff. Where did I miss it? Let's find it. We missed something. Ah, here. We missed this step. So these lines needed to be added to the game area because we have like the score and the level and everything, but we didn't actually have a way to get those over to main. Okay, I think it should run. Let's see. No, no, we got a problem. All right, let's fix it. What is wrong? So scroll through. So I'm looking for errors. I don't really see. Why is it complaining about those? Okay, where's the red? Ah, here we go. So current piece draw, and it says like game area field X, game area field Y, and then draw UI. And that's because so draw takes one, two, three arguments, but over here, this draw doesn't. And why doesn't it? Um, it doesn't because I never fixed this code because they told me to copy this code in for draw, and I typed in field X and field Y rather than actually copying the function. So you didn't really see much change, but what changed was field X and field Y came in here. So that's the change that I forgot to make. And then if I come back here now, hopefully it'll run. Yes. So look at how nice that looks now. I mean, it's not perfect, but you see we have kind of a little grid over here. And now you can see that that's our gameplay area. And it shows us the next piece. And when we make a line, let's see what happens. Hopefully, look, disappeared. And it told us that the lines was higher, and it told us that the score is higher now. You see, and now I got 200, 2 lines. And anyway, we are kind of making a game here. So there's still quite a bit of stuff to do. Like we can make this look a lot nicer. In fact, one of the things I would say if you want to do on your own is you can, and it might be recommended here, is that it says, by the way, uh, you need something like this. And so you could use like I recommended Photopea because it's just like a free website. So like I go here and I guess I was here recently, so this is still here. But you could open uh, I don't want to do that. Go home. Could drop a file there. So we can drop the background there. And what you can do to try to make this better, and of course you don't have to, but like you could just kind of edit this image. Um, if you want to change the way it looks, like however you want to do it. Also, something that would be nice is I think there's a rectangle key. I think this does shapes, and you can do like rounded corners, and then see what that looks like. And okay, that's a black box. So you could do like, let's have like a black box and we could put the score there, maybe. And then we could say like, okay, well, what about the piece we're going to show? Oops, that. I'm not very good at this, but enter, enter, how am I done? Finish. Like you could say we're going to put the next piece up can go in there, and then you could um, maybe have a place to put. I'm not doing very good at this, am I? Maybe a place to put the score, how wide does that need to be? How do you want it to look? And if you have a better photo editor or you're just better at this, you could even draw this entire thing again. And you could, make this look however you want, and it's just the background. And it makes the game kind of look a lot more professional. And then one of the things that we're not going to do now, because I'm out of time, but you could do is when you're looking at the code, this is draw UI, and what this does is it's just writing all the text here. So like it writes the word score, right? And you can see where it does that somewhere right here, where it writes the word score. So like if you want that to be bigger, you can just say like, okay, well, um, where's the size, right? Okay, we set the font to 18. Well, what if we want the font to be bigger? We can change it to 32 point. What does that look like? Oh, that looks nicer. Now the score and the zero are a little close together. So you say, okay, well, here's where it printed the score, and then it added 28 to the Y value. So maybe this should be like more like 36 to the Y value. What does that look like? Oh, okay, now there's a little bit bigger gap. Then it says next piece, but maybe I want the next piece to be further down. Maybe I want everything to be further down. So if I want everything to be further down, maybe I can change this number here and to a bigger number. Okay, now that's further down. Maybe then I want the next piece to move down. So I can go, well, before we draw the score, um, so this draws the score and then moves down. So this is where I would want to, um, what do we want to move down? Okay, after the score, I want the next piece to move down. So this is all the score, and then this is the next piece. But if I want this to move down, I go up to this Y value, and I can say this could be bigger, like 80. And then now there's kind of a bigger gap here. And you can change it bigger numbers, bigger changes if you want to see just exactly what you're editing, right? So like that's too big of a gap. So maybe like 120 was okay, maybe. Okay, that seems fine. And then I don't really like how this Rhode Island Z, like everything after that is still green. So like maybe after we print the preview, we take this white color and after it prints the preview and it's about to print the lines cleared, maybe we can change the color back to white. Okay, so that'll be white, but then this can be the color that of the piece. Well, then now I need to make some more space for the line. So like maybe before the lines, maybe this should be like another like 80 or something. No, I want it even bigger, want 100 maybe. So you can kind of just help get this to look a little nicer. I even want more space. So I'm moving it 20 at a time. I like that, but I think that there needs to be a little bit of space between the lines and the numbers. So let's change this to 36. Maybe we'll change this to 80 just to see what it looks like. This probably also needs to be 36. What do we got? Well, that looks okay. And so you can kind of arrange this a little bit. And then and if you drew boxes in here to draw things, then you would kind of move the text around to try to fit into the boxes that you put into your background image. And that's going to be it for today. But, this is approaching a game. Now, there will be one more video just to kind of clean everything up and make this a proper game, and also to make this whole window shorter for people that need it to be shorter to fit on their screen. All right. Anyway, that's it for this video. I will talk to you guys later.